yesterday. Now, the 7th of Adar, we just came out of over the last day or two, was the Hilula of Rabbi David Mashta. He actually passed away 16 years ago, back in the year 20, Tafshin Ayin, respectively. And very interesting, I think his father's name was Rabbi Yecheskel, and he was born in 1930 in Baghdad, in Iraq, a place we've spoken about on various occasions here in this series, and we've probably recorded over biographies of about at least maybe 150 rabbis that actually hailed from Iraq of yesterday. Yes, that's what I'll point out over here. Now, when he was young, he would learn under the great Torah scholars in the famous Midrash Bet Zilka and the Beit Midrash Menashe Salah, respectively. This was very, very interesting enough. And I think when he was only 14 years of age, he would become the cantor of the synagogue called the Shikha, which is one of, let's say, the large synagogues that there is in Baghdad of that specific point in time. So that's something that we very much have to point out, friends. And anyone tuning in, welcome to our community. If you are here for the first time, and please, everyone, welcome, feel home, as we've got some phenomenal content over here for all you fantastic people over here. So we are exploring a few of the highlights with regards to the life of Rabbi David Mashta. Let's speak about the famous Midrash Bet Zilka, because let's say that was probably the bastion of the yeshivot at that point in time in Iraq, one of the most famous yeshivot, without doubt, in the Sephardic countries, and the yeshiva that we've very much spoken about on various occasions before here inside this series. So we'll say a short minute, just inspiration from that specific Talmudic academy. Now, who was Rosh Yeshiva over there? Who was the head of this yeshiva? It was the famous Rav Abdallah Somech of Midrash Bet Zilka. Let's just go through a bit of historical context over here, as I think it's very, very important to speak about the history of the famous rabbis. Midrash Bet Zilka, I think, was, to be precise, there's actually a famous picture, I'm looking at it now. It was around the mid-19th century till the mid-20th century, and the great Babylonian rabbis at that point in time will come in. I think originally, or possibly all throughout, it was free of charge, Rab Abdallah Samech, and this was, I think, with the approval of a famous, philanthropist in Baghdad, someone named Ezekiel Rubin, who had made various different generous contributions to charitable enterprises in Iraq and Ottoman Palestine, and especially I think there was the famous Bet Yaakov synagogue for the Prushim, also known as the Hurva synagogue, which would be under him also. And I think Reuben will buy a suitable courtyard and built a rabbinical school devoted to Rabbi Abdallah Somech's Talmidim over there. It was, and very interesting, his period himself. There was Abu Manashi, who would contribute very large sums to cover the stipends of the student body in of its own right. And I think there was a large Heder program there originally, and it was great. They could actually earn the title of Chacham, the Talmudim can, from the yeshiva students. And there was famous traveler Benjamin II, who we've spoken about here various occasions before. Israel Joseph Benjamin, to be precise. He traveled in 1848, and he will actually quote over here: the curriculum for our Jewish brethren in this city in matters of religion and faith is excellent. This Bet Midrash is under the direction of Chacham Abdallah Somech, and it says, may God protect him and keep him, who has assumed the burdens of his work without remuneration. And that gives an extra tidbit with regards to that. Anyone tuning in live at the moment, please subscribe to the channel. We've got phenomenal content here on our community, so please don't forget to subscribe. Yes, it's actually interesting. I think Ezekiel Rubin would actually pass away on the 14th of Tammuz in the year 5611. That's very, very interesting, something that we have to point out. That was the specific date he had passed away. And remember, he was definitely a pillar with regards to Midrash Bet Zilka. He happened to have been various different importances he had done, and he left behind two generous sons, Menashe and Sassoon. Not only did they retain their father's stipends, but they also created new ones for students who had not been funded in his lifetime, and added, let's say, to this budget for the Midrash, so students could learn with their full hearts. I think in 1854, Menashe closed the original building that father had constructed for Midrash and bought 3 adjacent houses at that point in time: the Bet Dali house and the Bet Zilka and the Hacham Abdallah Kedir, if I'm not mistaken. And this seminary would go from strength to strength. It would become like a bastion place for Mizrahi Jews. And another traveler of the name Jehiel Fischel would visit, I think, in the year 1860, and also give a quotation with regards to the yeshiva, talking about it in glowing terms in of its own right. And obviously, I think in 1941 there was a pogrom known as the Farhud that struck the Jewish community of Baghdad, and the chief rabbi of the time was Rabbi Yaakov Mutzafi, opened the gates of Midrash Bitzelka to the survivors of the atrocity who were evicted from their homes, and arranged for the upkeep via donations from philanthropists inside the community. So that's really the history behind this great Talmudic academy, let's just say, in of its own right. Which is very, very interesting. It would also make a big change when Rabbi Yehuda Fataya would actually leave Iraq in 1937 and emigrate to mandatory Palestine. And then there was, that would be a setback at that point in time, let's just state. So very, very interesting. Everyone tuning in live, we're exploring a few of the highlights of Rabbi David Mashta, his history over here in this special edition. Okay, so he would learn there. He would also be part of the Beit Midrash Menachem Tzalach, and in there he would be a chazan inside one of the large synagogues in Baghdad. Come with the year 1951, he would actually make Aliyat to Eretz Israel. It was part of Ezra and Nehemiah, and he would be Yasheb Varat Ohalim Agrovank, Liad Chadera. So he would actually live right next to Chadera. למרות שהוא וחברו עבדו בעבודות דחק, והיה להם תקציב מאוד מוגבל. פעל להסתרט צריף לתפילה. הם קנו גמורות ולמדו מדי ערב בחבורות צעירים. So there was a proper חבורה over there. לאור השישת נפת. Very, very interesting. And I think come with the year 1952, he'd be appointed as an educator in a religious school over there. מספר שנים לאחר מכן התמנה למנהל בית ספר יבנה. He'll be actually appointed the manager of the Yavne, famous Yavne, let's just say, school in its own right. Come on, 1955, he would עבר לגבעת Olga. שם יסד in the year 1958, he would actually form a synagogue and a Beit Midrash called the Yeshurim. Shayel America Shurei Torah. It was a place where there'll be like Torah classes. ויראה בכל שעות היום. חכם דוד משתה נהג לקום בכל יום בשעה 2 לפנות בוקר. טובל במקווה. He'd go inside the mikveh, the ritual bath, השכונתי inside this neighborhood. והיה מתחיל מיד סדר יום של תורה ועבודת השם. He would have like a very, very intense day of learning Torah and serving God. הוא שימש כרב העדה הבבלית. He was an Iraqi rabbi at that place. במשך למעלה מ-20 שנה. שימש כיושב ראש חברה קדישה בחדרה. So he'd have this position for that many years. ותמך ביד נדיבת מוסות התורה בעיר. Very, very interesting. Anyone tuning in live, welcome to our community. We're going to take a short break in a minute, so just watch your space. In the meantime, please subscribe to the channel. In the year 1990, he would establish Ahlei Torah. This was in the Shomron area in of its own right. שבמסגרת נערכו ימי עיון לבעלי בתים. Really catering towards the Baalei Batim. דברי תורתו הובאו בספר צעיר רודם. He would actually bring this out in this specific book. שיצא בידי מכון ניר דוד. So the מכון ניר דוד would bring it out, וכולל דרשות. This will include various different sermons and the Parshat of Shavua. ודפי מקורות מארצו. טוב, very interesting enough. So, בשנות האחרונות, סבל מי ספיקת כליות נזקק לכלי דיאליזיה. So he would need dialysis in his remaining years. למרות חולשתו התמיד, that would make him tired on a continuous basis. לאחר שנפל בדרכו לבית כנסת, ושבע את עצמות הגאון. So unfortunately that would occur. דרדור מצבו הרפואי במשך מספר שבועות. And I think he passed away on the Motzei Shabbat, which happened to be Zayin Adar, in the year 2010. Now, friends, we're going to continue in a minute. We're just going to take a short break over here, but we'll be back in a minute, and we're going to continue speaking about the great rabbi of yesteryear. So please watch your space, friends. Hi, shalom everyone. Thanks for being patient over here as we're including this live video over here. So sorry about the break over here, and wishing you all well. We're exploring a few of the highlights of the history of a great rabbi that was from Iraq of his day, Rabbi Mashta, and he was very much part of the, let's just say, in the last years, let's just say, of the famous Yeshivat Midrash Bet Zilka. So very, very interesting enough. So if you're tuning in live, welcome to our community. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. And really appreciate all you fantastic people over here that have joined in over here. So remember, he was passed away in the year 2010. The great rabbi did. So yeah, it was actually on Zayin Adar of that specific year. So it says over there, just with regards to more within regards to his career, he would start up in 1990 the Aahly Torah, באזור השומרון, as we said beforehand, and I think he suffered from various different. He needed dialysis in his last years, if I'm not mistaken, and he fell down. I think he broke some bones, if I'm not mistaken, inside the synagogue, and he passed away, unfortunately, in the year 2010. We're talking about 16 years ago here from the time of recording. There's an article also about him in the Kikar Shabbat website and in various other places we have to point out. I'm just taking this actually from there's an article on the Haimi website over here, but in Kikar Shabbat we'll just read over what it says over here. It has like a biography also within regards to him. Rabbi David Mashta. I think many hundreds would actually come at that point in time, and including the great rabbis of the city, and eulogize him at a time period. He was part of the Beit Midrash of Yeshurun, as we pointed out before, and was a very, very much great rabbi. So I think they actually talk about it inside this article in its own right, and they testify to the greatness within regards to the great Chacham, because he really did achieve a lot, especially in Chazera in its own right. And so the Beit Knesset of Yeshurun, that's actually in the Givat Olga area in of itself, where he would do huge amounts of Torah over there. And many rabbis at that point in time, including Rabbi Meir Chizkiyahu, would actually eulogize him, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And I think it was part of the Or Yosef Yeshiva in Givat Ogla. That was one of the main places over there at that point in time. And yeah, I think other great rabbis will testify to his greatness, including Rosh Yeshiva, Rav Shimon Biton at the time, and Rav David Sadka, another great rabbi, who was a rabbi of Pardes Chana, Rabbi Mordechai Kadosh, Rosh Yeshiva of Ma'aneh Torah LeMoshe, and Rabbi Leo Kachlon, Rosh Kollel of the famous Rab Pa'alim, and Rab Aviv Ilani. And also, I think Rab Oriel Gershon, really great rabbis of that point in time. and it would be there was other famous rabbis. I think that would actually be there on that point in time, including Rabbi David Mashta, if I'm not mistaken, was a rabbi of the city of Kader, Rabbi Yoshua Arnberg, also of Knesset Yeshivat Knesset Yitzchak, Rabbi Yisrael Meir Biton, another famous rabbi of Tzafon Chadera, Rabbi Noach Doni, rabbi in Holvit, and I think his chatan was Rabbi Yosef Gershon, if I'm not mistaken, and another Mr. Chaim Avitan also. And we're just going to talk a bit about his, let's just say, his generations in of its own right, because he had a very, very, let's just say, important history in of its own right, the great rabbi did. So just to testify within regards to his brilliance over here, I think it's very, very important to actually speak about him today. And anyone tuning in live, we are exploring a few of the highlights of great rabbi's life over here. Rabbi we've spoken about here on various occasions before. Rabbi Mashta, who was very, very famous, and especially in his day, so that's something just have to point out over here. Okay, friends, so anyone tuning in live, welcome to our community, and don't forget, friends, to please subscribe to the channel. We are nearing, at the moment, a staggering, at the moment, 9,000 subscribers, so it would be great if we could get to the Jewish festival of Purim under that large number of people, and very, very exciting. That's something that we'll have to point out over here also, friends. So very, very interesting. Okay, so we are going to continue here, and always full of exciting, let's just say, Torah content in of its own right. This will just progress. I'll just continue saying what the article actually says. They actually say that he was born in Baghdad, as we said before, and when he was young, I think, it would be imbued in the Bet Midrash, Bet Zilka, Menashe Tzalach also of that point in time, and he would become an expert within regards to Shas and Poskim even at a young age, and learn the code of Jewish law. And then I think he would work as a Chazan in Beit Knesset. He was only 14 years of age at that point in time, one of the great synagogues in Iraq, and eventually come to Eretz Yisrael, part of Ezra and Nehemiah. Aliyah at that point in time, he would be part of the Marat Agravok next to Chadera at that point in time, and would really, really be imbuing people within regards to Tefillot and the Torah in its own right. And obviously we spoke about the Tza'ir Radam, if I'm not mistaken, and various different people will actually testify to him, to his greatness. And in the Givat Ulga, he would actually bring about Beit Knesset over there at that point in time, and really imbue and strengthen Torah in of its own right. And I think he would makom he would actually go on in Yeshurin, and makom zeh shimesh k'mevatzeh shel Torah v'yira b'meshech kol sha'ot yamama hitkayma bo shi'urei Torah mesaviv lesha'on. All throughout the day, he would actually do Torah classes with tefillot nets, obviously early morning on sunrise, and they would actually call him Oved Hashem Amiti, Baramach Avrin, really, really the highest compliments. And היה כל יום קם בשעה 2 לפנות בבוקר והולך בסמטאות השכונה למקווה על מנת לטבול גם בימי חורף. Even in the cold weather you go to מקווה. מיוחד לכן, וכן מתחיל את שדה יומיו של תורה ועבודת השם טהרה צרופה. So he was very, very, let's just say, in his own right, a great rabbi that would, and he obviously opened the Ahlei Torah, as we mentioned about before, or Rav Dachad Yoma Shel Baalei Batim, really imbuing the Baalei Batim in his own right, and really doing huge impacts in of its own right, friends. That's something that we have to point out. Anyone tuning in live, welcome to our community over here, and welcome, and always appreciate to have people live over here, have new people coming to watch at the moment. So if you happen to be new and it's the first time here, welcome, and very, very exciting over here to have everyone that is new onto the channel. So welcome everybody. Okay, so let's speak a bit more with regards to him. He got up very early. He was known as a special rabbi also. And I think he was weakened in his last few years, let's just say, in himself, where he had to travel a few times a week for dialysis in the hospital. But still, at the same time, he was learning non-stop. That's something we have to point out. And I think he was close to various other great rabbis who would speak high about him all throughout the generation, especially the great council of Torah leaders, including the Rishon LeZion, Rabbi Yitzchak Yosef, if I'm not mistaken, and was close to him and many other rabbis also. So very, very interesting. We're going to explore a few of the highlights from his writings over here. One of his books was Tzirei Radam, as we said before. Machon Nir David, as we said before, will actually bring about his books. That's something that we'll have to point out. Of the Chazon LaMoed, if I'm not mistaken, very much part of Ramat Gan. So that's something that we have to point out here, friends. So let's explore a bit within regards to his workings inside the book. Just a couple of highlights over there to really, let's say, get our day going at the moment and just to inspire ourselves in of its own right. Yeah. So the teaching actually says, "Melamed kefi chalishut v'chesron hachomai tosif v'tigdil hanefesh koach v'atzma." This is one of the teachings he will say. "Melamed shelo yafsik kiyum hasharsheret ma'avot ha'uma at sof kol hadorot." This is another teaching, I think, that actually comes from the same book. I think it was printed in Ramat Gan, if I'm not mistaken. "Melamed shemachat bar hamitzvah shehanachat tefillin shekolo kechol haTorah." This is another important teaching that he actually gives over. That's something that we have to point out. And there's, I think there's another couple of teachings the website will actually attest to over here, which we will actually state over here. We'll give over 2 more teachings before we complete. Okay, we'll just state it over. Melamed al malei rachmim kos malei rachmim shemagish ka'avam lenachamam. And another teaching, Melamed b'kol halacha halikut olam kasher bal yinatek lekol m'orot hachayim. This is another teaching of his. Let's just say a final teaching that we can give over here. So very, very interesting over here. So welcome everyone. We're exploring some life of Rabbi Mashta. Great rabbi from Iraq of his time, very, very famous, a rabbi that we've spoken about here on various occasions before already here inside this series. So yeah, that's very, very interesting. So welcome everyone if you are new to the channel. And we don't just record videos over here of great rabbis of yesteryear. We are also recording videos of tours all over Israel. We are doing a very exciting project where we're going to various different countries across the world we are speaking about, and we are exploring what actually happened in all these countries with regards to who were the great rabbis there, what were the great synagogues like inside all these different places, and really exploring, looking at was there anti-Semitism in these countries, what went on in that timeline. We mostly concentrate on the Oriental countries in its own right, and explore really what went on in all those different places. And we're an Oriental channel, and we're trying to formulate at the moment an encyclopedia, and it's a great encyclopedic work, really for Am Yisrael in of its own right, to really get inspired. And we're trying to actually find out all the ins and outs of what actually went on in Sephardic Jewry all throughout the various different years. So that's something that I'll very much have to point out over here and labor, just to say, over here inside this edition over here. So yeah, so we spoke about Rabbi Mashta over here. He was a great rabbi of his time. So please learn more about him and learn more about the great rabbis from Iraq of yesteryear over here. And as we stated on our onset, we've probably recorded about 150 rabbis already from Iraq inside this series, at least 150 rabbis, which is a huge amount we have to point out over here. And once again, thanks to the Hayomi website, and we did use some notes with regards to Kikah Shabbat website. There was some excellent notes just with regards to the great Chacham over there also. So that's something that we had to take pride and thanks in regards to also. And hopefully we're going to explore a lot more great rabbis this week. Remember, 7th of Adar, sometimes, if we don't know the Hilula date of a specific rabbi, sometimes they would actually associate the Zayin Adar actually with that specific rabbi, because if we don't know the Hilula dates, they'll actually attest it as a Hilula, because that was the dates when Moshe Rabbeinu passed away. So we're saying that all the Shamot are actually connected somehow to Moses, to the great rabbi, so our spiritual leader in of its own right. So because of that reason, that's why we would see that, especially the Haimi website, of its own right, will actually list Zayin Adar. You can see the amount of rabbis it will attest to, because of that specific reason in of its own right. So he was a great rabbi of his time. He was basically a powerhouse of rabbi. He achieved so much and did so much also. And how great is just the Torah to Eretz Israel, and to do things in Eretz Israel. Came from Iraq, and what a busy time period it was all throughout his life. So that's something we should testify and appreciate and learn more about, friends, here. So yeah, anyone, if you're new over here, please subscribe to the channel and join our community, and hopefully we will go from strength to strength, learn more. A lot of exciting content coming out this week, a lot of tours this week. We toured actually today the famous area of Mevaseret Zion, something I will have to point out over here, and we'll hopefully upload all these tours that we did. Also, don't forget, we also do a Daf Yomi tidbit, and we've got an inspirational rabbi every single day to give over a burst of inspiration to Am Yisrael, and very, very exciting. We've already recorded about 500 rabbinic or Jewish great personalities here of modern day, so that's something that we're very privileged to have, and very, very exciting. So I think on that note, I'm going to wish you all a fantastic night, and take care. Thanks for spending time to watch. Thank you.